Hello and welcome to Simple Life Philosophy. I'm your host Ed Raby. This is the channel where we follow and chronicle my journey for a philosophy of life that is both simple to understand and simple to execute. That leads to a simpler life that is both more peaceful and more productive. As always, I ask you to like the video if you like it. Make sure you share it with friends you think would be interested. Comment below. Anything to help those YouTube algorithm gods take notice. As always, subscribe to the channel. If this isn't your first time or your second, you might as well subscribe. You keep checking out my videos, and this way, if you hit your notification bell too, you'll get notified every time a new video drops, which I try to do almost daily, but every once in a while I take a day off because I need one. Today I want to talk about 7 tips that relate to routines, systems, and goals. I guess every once in a while I drop a video of things I understand and have experience on and try to give wisdom to. For me, I have in a large part spent a lot of my life doing stuff by routine or systems or trying to set goals or having a vision for my life. A lot of my job as a pastor, I would say, was being a life coach, where I kind of try to give people some wisdom about how to deal with certain situations. And the thing about routines and systems and goals is they have a way of saving you a lot of time when they're executed correctly. And that's the big savings, because the one thing about all of us is we all have the same 24 hours a day. We may not have the same money, the same resources, the same skill set, but we all have the same 24 hours every day. Now, we also don't know how much time we have left, so it behooves us to use each day as effectively as possible, and that includes relaxing and enjoying our lives, and having a peaceful life that is productive is one of the goals. Today I have 7 tips that I've kind of thrown together relating to routines, systems, and goals, because these are the kind of things that I have to do in order to move my life forward. My personality type, maybe it's a little bit of the autism and everything else, my adult autism possible, that I also, these things help me kind of get a grip on everything and allow me to move forward without feeling like I'm wasting my time. And if I put something into a routine, it always gets done every day. And that's the big thing. Now, my first tip today, don't be afraid to alter or change things. Okay, if something's not working, it may be the order you have things, it may be what you have grouped together, but the big thing is, whenever you're working on routines and systems and goals, don't be afraid to change them. Your vision for your life may change, and all of these things are going to have to change along with that vision. I mean, I'll talk probably more about having a vision for your life at some later point. I think the Stoics have a good vision, and other people have a good vision that influence into that vision. But once you understand what your vision is for your life, you're going to have to find routines and systems and goals. And as you gauge that journey of discovery, you're going to find that some things don't work, or maybe you're just struggling with something and you don't understand why. Maybe it requires a change. The biggest thing to remember with routines and systems and all that stuff is change. Now, some of us, like myself, don't like change, but that's why I'm listing it here as a tip. Because you have to understand that even though you may not like change, it may be the necessary thing that keeps you going. Okay, so make sure that you're not afraid to change your systems or change your goals or change the routine, because maybe you'll find a different way that works better and saves you more time. The second thing that I would say is move similar items together. This is one of those things that I had to learn, and I continue to learn. For instance, there's a great temptation for me to put like my stretching routine, my weightlifting, and my hiking all together, because then they run from one thing to another. The problem is the way my work schedule is and everything, that doesn't necessarily always work out. But my stretching routine has a little bit of yoga to it, so coupling it with meditation is equally valid. Okay, and having that time where I'm clearing my head, stretching my body, doing those things is a good, combination. Looking for things that work together. Part of my routine, for instance, is get up, make the bed, lay out my clothes, everything that I would do in my bedroom to get ready to go to work or to just get ready for the day if the day is off. Coupling things together. I like to put writing and reading together because they're very similar activities. Things like that. The more you couple things and you kind of stair step them, I think you'll do a better job at making sure things go one thing to another. You're sitting there reading, oh, I got this great idea for a story. You sit down and then you write out the story. It's one of the things that I'm realizing that I have to do, and I'm going to talk about some changes as I go through these tips that I'm doing personally. One of the things that I'm having to do is looking at my writing and reading. I'm trying to find a way to put those two together and put them at an earlier time in the day because, quite frankly, I don't do them later on in the day. And so I've got to find a way to make sure that that earlier part of the day is when they get done. This goes along with my third tip, which always look to streamline things. Always make them, whenever possible, streamline them so they work more effectively. One of the things I've had to do is like when I cook a meal, I've had to learn that if I get everything out and get it all prepared and lined up, when I actually start to cook and prepare the food, everything goes so much quicker and smoother. And if I wait to get everything done and then actually turn on the stove and start cooking, that's actually very efficient. Because then, I'm not wasting a lot of fuel, I'm not wasting a lot of things, I'm just cooking. And so I get that cooking done fairly quickly. Everything comes together. I eat. Once I'm done eating, everything goes into the sink while I'm still in the kitchen because I usually eat my food in the kitchen. And then, I'm looking for actually a little dining set to go into the corner so I can eat in the kitchen and maybe do a little reading. But I eat, I get the things done, and then I wash the dishes. I clean off the sink, clean off the stove, clean off the counter. That's a system. Everything's kind of streamlined and moves from one thing to another. It took me a good 2 weeks to figure that out. But now when I cook a meal, it takes me 30 minutes tops, depending on what I'm cooking, because I have everything, I lay everything out, then I do the thing, then I clean up after myself. That's a streamlined system. Always be looking for that. One of the things I had to learn right now is that I've got to, when I come home, instead of waiting to prepare my work bag and my gym bag, the next morning, let's do it tonight. When I get home, just get ready for the next day's work. Because then when I get up in the morning, I just have to, make my bed, lay out my clothes, do my stretching meditation, get my shower and stuff, get all the personal hygiene stuff, get dressed, and I'm ready to go because my bags are already packed by the door. So I can sit down at the computer and maybe grab a book, read for a little bit, do some writing, and have that all together. That's one of the changes I'm proposing on making myself starting June 1st. That's going to, I hope, fix things because I'm trying to do other things June 1st, like get back in shape. I'm in pretty decent shape right now, but I want to get back to my pre-COVID level, which was, really leaned out. I felt really good, had good cardiovascular strength. I'm about 16 pounds off of that and about, a little bit more cardiovascular strength off of that. I want to get back to that feeling. Well, that means the necessity of change in my routines and systems, making sure they're streamlined. Number 4, learn to prepare things in advance as much as possible. Along with the preparing my work bag, at night before I go to bed at some point, part of that is learning to meal plan a little bit better. One of the things I have to add here very soon, I think, is when I have a day off, I need to do meal preparation for the next, like work days. Get my wraps made, get all that stuff made, and get that all put in the fridge. So when it is time to go to work, the only preparation I should have to do is to grab my work phone that's been charging, grab a wrap, throw it in my bag, and out the door I go. That keeps it very streamlined and very simple, but also that preparation ahead of time means that a lot of things are done and ready to go. So my number 4 tip is whenever possible, do preparation. Do get something done in bulk and get it done and have it ready for yourself. Learn to drop things if they're not working is number 5. And you can, at this point, you can do a couple of things about that. It might be that as you look at something, it's not working, a goal's not getting done, a system isn't working hardly at all, part of your routine just doesn't ever seem to get done, drop it for a while. Just cut it off and stick to the stuff that you are doing. I've had to do that recently, and I pulled a couple of things off, and I have two ways of going with these guys. I'm sure there's other ways you could approach it, maybe partially or all the way, but for me, I began to look at this and say, okay, is this really something I want in my life? Okay, and recently I had to ask that question about reading and writing. Do I have the time for it? Is this something I can focus on? Is this really that important? Now, for me, writing and reading are very important, so I didn't take that option, but I genuinely considered it because that's part of my purpose with this one of dropping something. When you drop something off your routine, you drop a goal, you drop something, leave it alone for a week or two, come back to it, and you're either going to discover, I didn't really want to do this, okay, all right, or, you know what, you might come to it with fresh eyes and decide, you know what, the reason this didn't work is it was over here and it needs to be over here. That's kind of what happened with me and my preparing my gym bag and my work bag for work. I was doing it every morning after I was, getting done with my shower and stuff, and I was realizing the reason I don't rush through things or I wasn't stretching and meditating like I want to is because I don't feel I got time to do that and get the writing and the reading done, and then I end up not doing anything. So I dropped all this stuff for a little while, these last couple of weeks, came back to it and realized I got to shuffle some stuff around, okay? And hopefully it'll be better. I still want to do these things, but I came back at it with fresh eyes, and now I'm like, okay, let's do the work bag and the gym bag when I first get home from work. If I have to do it, for the next day, get that as part of the early evening routine or the afternoon routine and move that in, and then it's in place. And then all I really have to worry about is a wrap, my phone that should be on a power cord, and that's about it, okay? And then once I get done with my shower and get dressed, I can immediately go sit down and do a little reading, do a little writing, and right up till the time that I leave for work, and then I take off, and then I pick up where I go from there. And I have a system for writing right now that I'm going to try starting June 1st, where I write on my blog, and then once I finish an article for that and post it, then I'll work on my novel, probably try to get a couple thousand words done on my novel, and then I have a nonfiction book that I'm going to get started on about my time, how I moved from being a devout person of faith to an atheist. I want to write that story, and I think I'm in a better position mentally and emotionally to do so. So, starting June 1st, that's going to be part of my routine. So every 3 days, there's going to be something different. Now I'm going to get, for tip number 6, I'm going to get really stoic with you. Examine the things on your routines and examine the things on your systems and examine the things in your goals and ask yourself a question. Is this really something I can control, or am I trying to do something to change something that I really can't change or control? Okay. This is where you have to exercise a little wisdom. Like if you have continually beat yourself in the head about a certain thing, then you really need to understand that maybe, just maybe, it has elements to it that you can't control. And you need to back off that system, that routine, that goal, and go, okay, maybe I need to change this a little bit to focus on the things that I actually can control here. Some things are beyond my control. Okay, like having good relationships. A lot of people have the goal of having good relationships with certain people and discover that those people just don't want to have a good relationship with them. You can either leave that on your goal list, leave that as part of your system of contacting people and connecting with them, or you can decide, well, it's beyond my control, so as much as possible I'm going to do this. And if something changes, if it's still important to you, then you may be waiting for a long time for change. But there's nothing wrong with looking at it and saying, you know what, I'm trying to control something I can't control. There's one thing to influence something. It's one thing that things you have control over, some things you can influence, some things you just can't. And if you want your peace of mind, sometimes you have to take a look at your systems, your routines, and your goals and go, I just can't control that, and I need to change that to the element of that I can control or drop it altogether. Remember, you're trying to save time, and if you're bashing your head against the wall and not getting anywhere, you're not saving time. Okay, and you only have so much time a day and almost so much time for your life. So make sure you have a happy one. Lastly, this is one I learned recently. If it doesn't fit into a system or a routine, it's a goal. Okay, it's something. Usually, goals for me are one shot. It's something I have to do. Like right today, I had two goals. I needed to go to the bank and get my cashier's check for my rent, and then I had to go to the auto repair guy and schedule an appointment because I got a few things wrong with my car that I need looked at and fixed. Now that it's summer, it's a little bit easier to get things into the repair shop, and the holiday is over. So I made that appointment, and in about a week, I'm going to be taking my car in a little over a week actually, and getting a few things on it repaired. Those were my two goals today. In fact, that's what I am basically looking at when I say this. Only set 2 or 3 goals a day. Now, you can have your big, long list of all the goals that you need to accomplish. But usually what happened in the past when I'd make that big, too long to-do list, what would happen is I would get 2 or 3 things done, maybe 4, and there would be 8 or 9 things still on there, and that's just discouraging. So what you want to do is make your big, long list, flip the page, okay, in your notebook or whatever you do, and just write 2 or 3 of those to get done that day. Then get those done, slash them off. Usually I have my ideas, my routines and systems come first. I then try to get 2 or 3 goals done a day. Usually those goals tend to be, this is something I have to get done. It's a business matter, or like with my gardening right now, it tends to be goals. Now, once my garden gets big enough and I have to do something every day for it, it will become part of the routine. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. When something isn't every day, it's probably a goal, okay? And you need to just kind of keep track of it by making it that way. So that's kind of my 7 tips, Don't be afraid to change. Move similar things together whenever possible. Always be looking to streamline things. Learn to prepare things in advance. If something is not working, drop it for a while, then relook at it. Either you're going to drop it forever, or you're going to change it, come back with look at it with new eyes. Make sure your systems, your routines, and goals, number 6, are within things that you can control. And finally, if you do have your systems and routines in place and you have a goal list, make sure you have that big, long goal list, but only do about 2 or 3 of them a day. You'll achieve a lot more, and it'll feel more satisfying when you do all these things. I think that's kind of some of the wisdom that I've learned from doing systems, goals, and routines over the years. And these are kind of my 7 top tips that I would definitely kind of give people if they were really trying to do this sort of thing and they were having trouble. Well, thank you once again for stopping by. This has been Simple Life Philosophy. I've been your host, Ed Raby. We're still on this journey to find a simpler life through following a philosophy of life that is simple to understand and execute. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, get notified, leave a comment on this if you have any other suggestions about it, because we could always use some more help, and helping each other is a good way to find that simple life philosophy. Thanks once again. You have a great day.